Welcome back to Arkansas Basketball Recap, where we recap every Arkansas Razorback basketball game, including the great ones. The great ones like Arkansas's 90-77 victory at Vanderbilt, the worst court to have a broadcast from in the entire SEC. Looks like they're it looks like one of the convention centers that they put a bunch of courts in when I'm taking my daughter and AAU circuits and stuff. What is the deal, man, with that court? Like it's all this space on the sides and stuff, and the camera angles are all weird. The whole thing's weird, but
Not to
it's,
focus on that, but yeah, I mean, I don't, I've always seen it, and every time I remark on it, and maybe it's been, you know, explained, but why is there like, is it a multi-use court? I mean,
I
what's going on?
I didn't need to investigate. I don't know, but
Because it doesn't make, like, it's not like gymnasiums, they figured them out.
yeah,
They figured out what's best, like where to put the vomitories, where to put the bench, put the four-sided clock in the middle. I mean, scoreboard in the middle, hanging from the ceiling. They basically got figured out. I don't know why you would be like, we should do put the scoreboard in the 45-degree corners, like at an angle, and put the teams behind or behind the basket and raise the court. I mean, there has to be an explanation. Where they like, is it used for their graduation as some kind of other facility or something?
I don't know. I think it's just they say, hey, let's make this home court advantage as real as we can make it, and so you got to come in here and play in this weird gym. But Arkansas said, look, it ain't no thing, dude. Like we're gonna come in here with seven guys, and guess what? We're gonna out rebound you by 11 and win by 13 because that's how that works. And yeah, man, what a great win for them. It started out, I mean, it didn't start out bad. Nelly started out hot, like started he came out as the aggressor, which love it. I mean, Nelly took 18 shots in this game, and I'm not mad about it. So I liked that he just came out and said, look, that whatever that was in South Carolina, I'm going to do my part to try to make sure that don't happen again. Let me try to get this ball in the hole like that. The first half was like, you got down a little bit and stuff, and some of it was ugly, and there's too many turnovers in this game. But man, about I don't know what was it, 6 7 minutes left in the first half, Arkansas decided to go on a run, and they kind of never looked back after that. I mean, there's ebbs and flows, but they gained a lead and never lost it, and took it to them, and the effort was great. I mean, they this is the thing we talked about, where you had that South Carolina game, and you're like, I don't know what to do with that. I'm gonna have to wait until the Vanderbilt game to know. Like, is that just a one off? Is that just like you guys eat some? Did you guys eat sushi before that game? Did you eat some of that Missouri sushi or something? Like what? Like what, or South Carolina sushi? Uh, I don't know what's going on, but and it does. I mean, Cal said that after the game, that he didn't watch the tape of that game. He didn't show the guys the tape of that game. He just told them that they burned it because that's not his team. That's what he believed. And they came out and looked very different. They scored 90 points in this game. They looked very different. So I don't know exactly what to do with that game, but you feel more comfortable just sort of flushing it and saying, hey man, sometimes it ain't right. And it wasn't right in South Carolina. This looked more like the team that we've kind of gotten used to seeing since Kentucky. Also since I don't know if you noticed, but since Arkansas has been playing better, which was really started around that Kentucky game. You haven't seen Cal in no blue suits. I'm just
Mm.
saying. Now, I'm not saying he's like decked out in like crimson, but like those he heard, and they've been playing better since he's been like mixing in the whether it's maroon or the white one with the black and red checkers or whatever, dude. Like keep doing that because we played like garbage when you were wearing gray with blue stitching. I don't
Mm.
like that. But yeah, this looked more like that team, and dude, you got to remember seven guys that are playing this game. Like Boogie Flan, done. Adu Thero, maybe done. Don't know. Don't have him. And like these are huge losses. I mean, Boogie Flan, you're like, oh, maybe it's a little addition by a subtraction, not because Boogie's not good, but maybe it defines some roles a little bit better. There's no like ooh, good. Thero's gonna be out. Like maybe we'll be better. No, you won't be better. It's gonna not be good. It hurts you on defense. It hurts you on offense. He's the hardest guy for other teams to match up with. But it does look like Trevor Brazil like has seized the moment and said, "Hey, I got to do something with this opportunity." And man, he was fantastic. Maybe I mean I don't know, but maybe the best game he's ever played as an Arkansas Razorback. I don't know.
I think it probably was. I mean, I think maybe statistically, I mean, statistically, it was definitely close. It was definitely one of his best three games. He had a couple of other good games here or there, but um, I think most of those games were just when he got a lot of like opportunities for alley oop dunks and hit a couple of threes. This game, I mean, the fact that his 3-pointer was going down was awesome, but the reason he was, in my opinion, by far like the player of the game and uh was his activity on the boards.
Yeah.
He was doing what we always say, which is until the other team had the ball securely in between two of their hands with their elbows out, he was still trying to get it. And he probably did that a dozen times, and two times I'm talking about where he was completely like no chance of getting the rebound. And he still was trying to stick his nose in there, was still trying to fight. And if the ball was loose, even if there were three guys in front of him, he was trying to slither in there and get his hand on it, slap it out, bounce it off one of their legs, knock it to somebody else. And there was multiple times where he had no business getting the board and he was behind three players and the ball was there and he couldn't get to it and he just slapped it as hard as he could. And what do you know? It bounced off the guy's like down his leg, couldn't grab it, took a weird roll, went behind him, and then who comes up with it? Trevor Brazil. Now, like I said, it only happened a couple of times, but that's the effort we're always talking about. And it does that activity. I mean, he was blessed last night with it paid off. I mean, what did he have? 14 boards?
Yeah, so Trevor Brazil goes 6 of 8 from the floor, 3 of 5 from three, and he has 16 points, 14 rebounds, 2 blocks, 2 assists, 2 steals. Just a man, dude.
And it's and mostly what it was is it was his attention. Dude, I'm
Yeah.
telling you, like you don't get steals unless you are, and I don't mean just kind of like you are paying exquisite attention to where everyone is and when you can shoot. You know what I mean? Because I'm talking about the kind of steal where you just snake the ball from someone and then go down and dunk it.
Which, by the way,
And
that steal was. Then what happened after that steal is ridiculous. It's almost like that's so he just like got that ball tipped up and then went and got it and then windmill side dunked that thing. By the way, not like all alone on a fast break, like with a guy there. There's just the thing with Trevin, dude. It's like Trevin like realized, and I know he knows this, but where it's like, hey, like, and you forget sometimes where you're like, dude, there's no one on this court who is as a freak athlete as you are. Like there's just not. Like you're the freakiest athlete out here, man. Like you're 6'10, you can jump out of the gym. Like you're a freaky athlete. And I mean a lot of these rebounds, some of these rebounds, he's just going right over the top of dudes. He's like coming in for like put back dunks and all just effort stuff. And the other thing is like you're right about like, oh, I'm gonna just try to get in there and see what happens. You're gonna do that 10 times and 2 times you end up with the ball. He has 14 boards in this game, but his activity is also responsible for other guys on his team getting boards that they would not have gotten if he hadn't tipped that thing out of there, got his hand, got a finger on it, pushed someone out of the way. There
well,
was
and he
there was
had two. I think he had two where they got the rebound, but they fouled him.
yeah.
Where
Mhm.
his effort made somebody foul him,
Just
pushing.
they undercut him, yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, you don't; those are the stats that don't show up. But to me, those are rebounds.
Yeah.
Like that, well, you gave us another possession, and but it's better. It's like rebound bonus plus bonus, which is we get an extra possession and inbounds, which we could maybe score off of one of our inbounds plays, and one of their guys now has another foul. Like
Yeah.
that's the best thing. And one thing I noticed that he was doing, and I don't know if this was conscious or if it was just sometimes you're just in the zone, but and this has to do with just wanting it and activity, which is he's not the strongest guy. He's a great athlete. And I'm not the strongest guy and I'm not a great athlete. So, but I do rebound well. And the way I do that is I know that if somebody has me boxed out, I can't jump over high enough to get the rebound with them in the right position. And I'm usually not strong enough to fight them out of the way. So as soon as I identify like they've got position, I release and go somewhere and like, well, I'm not going to get the ball here, or I'm very unlikely to. And I release, and I mean, I'm not saying I always run around the court, but like I let get off of their body because they're stronger than me usually, not always, but like, and you know what I'm talking about? Where you step back and then you go side to side and then you try again. And like you try to get around them. You try to slither through that crack. You try to get that shoulder underneath them. And that's what he was doing is he was using his athleticism because his athleticism is neutralized if there's one of those freaking 6'6", 250-pound dudes sealing him out and he just stands behind them and kind of goes, oh, no,
Yeah.
I couldn't get it. That's letting yourself be neutralized. If you, when he's got you, you release off of him and then spin and go take 5 steps over that way, make that guy chase you to box you out. You know what I mean? Make
Yeah.
him work. Don't let him just be able to get the position. And that's what he was doing. And even on, I mean, dude, like on those putbacks and stuff, like it's when his body is, he needs to be coming in from the outside. He needs to be free. He needs to jump back and come back in because he isn't the strongest guy in the world. So he is box outable. You know what I mean? Like they can put a body on him, but not if he just doesn't let it happen. Like just move. I mean, and sometimes that happens where, you know, sure, you'll find yourself, well, you were trying to go to the other side and the ball goes that way. And it's like, okay, whatever. But activity, man, just constant activity is where it's at.
Yeah, yeah, and he was doing it. Like that's the thing is like he didn't stop. He actually like, called to get subbed out at one point. Like he like called for a sub because he was so gassed in the second half, and he only sat out for 2-3 minutes, and then they brought him back in. But that's what I like to see, dude. They work so
All
hard
the,
that you gotta
all
tell
that
coach.
activity. And he was the guy with the least amount of fouls.
Yep. Yeah. Well, that's the thing is I like a Trevor Brazile that's working so hard that he has to ask the coach, hey, can I get a sub for 2 minutes so I can get a drink and catch my breath? I love it, dude. And the other thing is this is like Trevin. I know you're a fan of the show, of course. Um, that's the Trevor Brazile that like we're gonna need. And I don't mean like the making of shots. Like that's great too. But I understand that, yeah, that's you sometimes you make them, sometimes you miss them. I'm just talking about the other stuff that you can control. Dude, like that's like play like that. And if the shots go in, great. And if they don't, still play like that. Like that is you're a problem, dude. Like when you're being that active. Like you're a real
Well,
problem.
and I mean, not to over psychoanalyze it, but there is a weird phenomenon that we all just reference as momentum, or you know, they're in the zone or whatever. And we've said this a lot, but there is some connection, and it is psychological. And I really even think that it's, you know, like there is some kind of, I mean, it's hormonal or epigenetic or whatever you want. I don't know exactly what it's called, but when everybody knows when you brick shots and then or you get blocked, a lot of times, sometimes it motivates people, but when you're having a bad game, it tends to snowball on you. And even from moment to moment, like, and when shots start to go down, that tends to snowball to a certain degree. And it's literally I mean, sad lobster, like slumping your shoulders, like you can tell with the body language. And one way, and if I mean, as an assistant coach for my daughter's team, I'm trying to tell the girls this, like, you can to some degree create that. Now you're going to have bad games, but you will shoot better. It's counterintuitive, but you will shoot better and you will be bouncier and you'll be on your toes and the ball will snap out of your hands quicker the way you want it to if you actually are being active in all those other little
Yeah,
areas.
yeah.
And the worst for most people, except for maybe a very specific set of like lockdown shooters that just can never miss, like Ray Allen or something, they're always ready. Their mechanics are just hardwired. But for most guys, the worst thing you can do is, and I think this is the Ray Allen phenomenon, why such a great player can't really get teams to win with him consistently. And it's if you're not involved, or to the degree that you are less involved in every part of the game, defensively, moving the ball, if you're standing around watching on defense, on offense, and you're watching other players do stuff, then the ball hits you in the hands, your neurons are not going in that direction. You know what I mean? Like, it's not as fluid. You catch it, and all the processes, the gears start to clunk into gear, like have to into place. And it's like, oh yeah, I got to make a move, or I got to shoot this shot. It's not fluid. The best way, and it's not foolproof, but for you to uh, actually hope that your shots will go in and be good offensively, is to be active, pay attention, get involved in the game, be moving, like participate in every aspect of the game. And you will, I think more often than not, you will find that's how you get on a roll. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Those things are connected. Having a good shooting night is connected to not just watching on defense, or not just watching on offense, just being like, well, I'm in the corner and I'm open, I'm spreading the floor, so I'm just going to stand here. It's like, move around, participate, set some screens, cut across the floor, make your guy work. You know what I mean? Make your guy miserable that he's guarding you, make
Yeah.
him have to box you out 3 different times on the same possession. So,
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree, and yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I think it's Trevor. Like, I mean, some people might be tempted to give Nelly Davis the player of the game here, and Nelly was great. He had 21 points, it played 39 minutes, like he was awesome. Um, but yeah, I mean, to me, it's Trevin. Like,
well, and honestly, and that's to take nothing away from anybody. We needed every single guy, and they all played really well. I
yeah.
mean, Jonas played well when he was in
Oh,
there.
I thought Jonas. I was just going to go to him. Like the 16 minutes that Jonas gave you, he gave you 16 minutes, 7 points, 8 rebounds. 8 rebounds in 16 minutes is great. I mean,
Mhm.
like that's actually a crazy clip. And he was playing good defense, and yeah, I thought those minutes from Jonas
He had a
were
couple of big
really
shots. I mean, not big shots, but like, kept the momentum going. Um, Honestly, everybody played well with the exception of DJ Wagner in the first half. He
it,
looked he looked a little bit like it took him a while to get going,
and he got in foul
um,
trouble.
and he got in foul trouble.
He was incredible the second half though. He had 14 points all in the second half, 3 assists, no turnovers. Like he was
Right,
good.
and I think he had like 2 or 3 turnovers in the first half, which is unlike him. And then Billy Richmond on one side of the ball. Like, Billy Richmond played with great intensity. He played good defense. He did have some good steals. He had some good moments. He did turn the ball over too much. I don't know what was going on. He could not dribble through traffic without losing the ball. I mean,
Well, we had 15 turnovers in this game, which is, maybe five more than you really would like to have. Billy Richmond had 7 turnovers. And look,
in a minimum amount of handling the ball.
yeah, so 7 turnovers in 27 minutes. Hey, Billy, dude, I like Billy Richmond, and like, cause I like that energy. I like the way he plays. He had one dunk that, like, no, every other game he has a dunk that, like, no one sees coming. Where you're just like, oh crap, you let Billy Richmond get in, like, downhill into the paint, and he's just gonna. It's just that he elevates so quick. And you're just like, all of a sudden, you're just like, oh, he's throwing that down. Okay. And he had an alley oop dunk too. Billy can jump, dude. Like, that's for sure. But but yeah, the turnovers and a little bit. I know, like, you can't have seven, dude. You can't have seven. I know that, like, you're gonna get some turnovers with Billy because he plays that fast, and you don't want to take that stuff away. You're gonna get fouls. You're gonna get some turnovers. You're okay with some of it. Seven's too much. Don't, like, let's trim those down. I know you're not gonna probably have zero turnover games with Billy Richmond. Like, that's fine. But yeah, seven's a little more than you want. I mean, you had almost half the team's turnovers. And you only played 20. You played 27 minutes, so don't
Right,
do
and
that.
not and the ball wasn't in your hand that entire 27 minutes. So
No,
it's something more like 7 turnovers in 20 minutes. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
And that is too much. You got to clean that up. And also, I mean, we probably would have been ahead faster. It was slowing down our
mm,
ability to, because we had a little bit of a slow start, which, like I said, I'm proud of these guys, because as bad as they played in that South Carolina game, they didn't come out like just on fire this game. It was like we were down 5-11, and it kind of felt like, I mean, and then like I said, it took us. I mean, Wagner got in foul trouble. Billy Richmond was turning the ball over, and even though we were playing pretty decent, I mean, our shooting percentage was good, but like it was taking us a long time to get. It felt. I mean, didn't you think, like, there were several times, like maybe with 10 minutes to go in the half, like, or 10 minutes gone, like we were still down by like 9 or something like that. And it was like, how are we down by 9? We're playing actually as good or better than them. And it was because we kept shooting ourselves in the foot and giving them extra possessions. Now, we did out rebound them, which helped because, I mean, we really, if you look at the stats, the free throws are close. They didn't shoot bad from the 3-pointer. I mean, percentage wise, um, everything's pretty close. We just got a way better field goal percentage from the floor and got a couple of extra chances.
Yeah, what it is, I mean, we hit 8 threes in this game. We were 8 of 24. 24 is probably a little bit more than you want to shoot, but it's 33%. So we didn't shoot great from the 3-point line. They shot 10 of 25, so they shot about the same amount, but they made a couple more. They shot 40%. You're like, that's about what you'd live with that as far if you're them. Like that's not terrible. Yeah, but the difference was just like we were 33 of 65 total. They were 23 of 60. That's the difference between 50% and 38%. And what that difference is that we just were finishing inside and they weren't. And part of that, to Arkansas's credit, was um, especially now when you don't have Fland and now you don't have Thero, you're just big all the time and like or long all the time. Let's put it that way. You're long all the time because you're gonna have some combination of Big Z, Trevor Brazil, and Jonas Adu. Like two of them dudes is gonna be in there, like most likely, and that is a little bit different. Like, those guards, Vanderbilt doesn't have the biggest guards, and you could tell they were getting in there, and they're like, "Man, that's a lot of length, dude. I'm having to like really."
They did screech the brakes a few times where I thought I'm like, the dude from that little dude from Tennessee would have put that up. Like he had
Yeah,
enough room to get that over Brazil or whatever. But a couple of those guys did stop about 10 feet short and decide to turn around and kick it out.
and dude, and a couple of those guys did get. Here's the thing about so I was always a shot blocker. Kind of got when I was back in the day when I used to be able to jump, but there is something about it too, like establishing a thing. So like if I was ever playing a game with like a guard that like to get downhill, like I want to try to block him early. Like the first time, hopefully. Like if he's like, all right, he's gonna beat his guy, get down here. I need to send that thing. And uh and that usually works well. Like where you're like, you're gonna think differently about that. Or next time maybe you're a tenacious guy and you're gonna come at me again, but maybe you're gonna put a little bit too much on it, you're gonna miss, that kind of thing. I felt like we did some of that early with them because there was a couple of blocks that were just like, you can get that straight out of here. Like, and
mm,
that what does that do? Makes him maybe not want to do it again. Or if you do it again, now you're adjusting. Now oh, I got to put that up a little higher than I'm used to. Well, if you put it up a little higher than you used to, it still might go in, but I bet you it goes in at a lower clip.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I did feel like it was. I mean, thank God our big men, or two of them, two of the three, can shoot threes because you can tell right now what's clear is um, teams know that we want, even without Thero in, that Wagner and Nelly want to drive to the hole. They want to put pressure on the guards. They want to get in there and allow a chance for Z or Brazil or one of those guys to get a rebound or an alley oop, or just them to get the lay in. And it was a little tougher in the first half, but Brazil and Big Z hitting those threes loosened it up. And I do think it's just hard. I feel like Wagner does sort of build strength. I mean, his routine has been a little bit like it's. I think those guys' legs get sick of trying to stay in front of him, and he
Wagner's like
tends to get a little bit more going in the last 7 minutes.
well, I think that so first of all, Wagner's a great downhill driver, like for as a guard. Like he's strong, he's big. He can finish with either hand. He don't care, dude, which hand. Like I don't know if he has a preference. I don't know if he cares at all. Um, so he finishes at tough angles, all that stuff, and he's strong with the ball. Um, and Wagner is sort of like, like when in football, when a team's got a running back and they just like keep giving him the ball and it's like pound you, pound you, pound you, pound you. And you're like, oh, it's only 2 yards, it's only 2 yards. But then in the fourth quarter, it's like 7 yards, 9 yards, 43 yards, because like, and it's just the accumulative man, this guy again. Oh man, this guy again. And I feel like DJ does that to other teams' guards where in the last down the stretch in the last 10 minutes of the game, the guys that are guarding him are like, man, I'll tell you what, I've been getting physical this game and I'm starting to wear out.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, it's with Brazil when he moves out to the corner and one of those big guys, like you can't leave him to help.
No.
Not after he keeps hitting him. I mean, he hit more threes than he made. I mean, which means, I'm saying he made one that was pure again
Yeah.
that they didn't count because
Yeah.
what was it, a offensive foul or
Something. Yeah.
something? But yeah, I mean, he was hot, and obviously everybody knows Big Z can shoot it, and that helps a lot, dude. If we had big guys that were just just I mean couldn't shoot it all from the outside, it would be I think you would notice distinctly. I mean, all they could do is go set screens,
Yeah.
and then everyone would just leave them out there.
Yeah.
I mean, they would be no help on the dribble drive.
That's why all that pick and roll stuff works pretty well. Like, if Z or Brazil comes up and sets a screen for Wagner, you can't both go with Wagner. You can't do it. Like
Mm-hmm.
so like whether it's so because sometimes they're doing a screen and roll, but mostly those are pick and pop.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to go there. And so and most guys if once if you have Brazil in the corner and Z setting the screen up at the top and Wagner gets around that, Wagner's probably going to be going like one on one now, and he's going to win that matchup more times than not,
Yeah.
or end up at
Yeah.
the free throw line. Like I mean, that's a tough dude not to foul once that happens.
Yeah, and honestly, like I said, I mean, even though we never really looked back after the first half, there was plenty of opportunities. It's not like Vanderbilt gave up. I mean, it did seem like every time we pushed it to over 12, you know what I mean? Like it'd be like 9, somebody we'd score and then get fouled, shoot 2 free throws, like it's okay, it's 13. We're about to, if we can push this into the high teens, it's gonna feel like it's out, and they'd come down and hit a 3. They'd come down and get an and one. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? They'd come down and miss and get an offensive rebound and kick it out and get something. And they would not let us get over that 14-point mark for a lot of, and they got it down to like 5 or 6 at one point, and somebody would come up with a big play, and it was like I said, it was Wagner driving, and it has to be said, Knox, dude, when they were making a couple of runs, and Knox got 2 and ones.
yeah. Oh
And
yeah,
the one
he
and
had a
the one I
stretch
don't know
there.
how they let him, because he got the ball at like the 3-point line, started dribbling it, and then all of a sudden he kind of looked up and realized everybody was kind of turned in a weird position. They didn't have their bodies square, and he put the Jets on and just went straight at him. And Knox was sort of an unsung guy. He was just solid all game.
Yeah. Yeah, and also, I mean, I know it's Vanderbilt, but you didn't need to know that this is a good Vanderbilt team. I mean, this is a tournament Vanderbilt team. Vanderbilt has beaten I mean, if you just look at the SEC teams that they've beaten, they have beaten LSU in South Carolina. Okay, whatever. They have beaten Tennessee in that building. They've beaten Kentucky in that building. They've beaten Texas. They've beaten Ole Miss in that building. They've beaten Texas A&M. They've beaten Missouri. Like
Who
that, you're
beat Auburn last night?
yes,
Texas,
that's true.
Texas A&M beat
Yeah,
Auburn,
yeah,
so
they did.
that's no small feat.
Yeah, like that's a good Vanderbilt team, dude. That you went in there and we talked a little bit how the numbers in that South Carolina game really hurt you because of that offensive efficiency. And like, man, and it did turn out to be the case that we really took a punch. Uh, Beating Vanderbilt helps you. And I know it's not like a ton of points, but beating Vanderbilt by 13 in their building, so beating them by double digits also that means more. It's
And shooting
better.
50, shooting for 50% brings up
Yeah.
the efficiency.
Yeah.
Scoring 90 points helps. I mean, I would have taken any win. I would have taken a 1-point win in a 40-point game.
Yeah.
But the way that, yeah, it's not just that they won, it's that everybody stepped up, good spread around the scoring, spread around the assists. They, like I said, out like scoring 90 on the road is great. I mean, that game helped us a lot.
A ton. A
I
ton.
mean, basically erased the South Carolina game. Now it's still as a constant curmudgeon. You're like, yeah, but if you had just done anything in that South Carolina game, even if you had lost a close game where you scored 75, 80
Well,
points, like
The South Carolina game's a bummer because if they'd have beat South Carolina and then done this, it,
you'd
I mean,
be locked up.
it
Yeah.
it does not matter what happens on Saturday. Now, it's not that if you don't win, you're out. That's not necessarily true because you probably could lose and then win a first round game in the SEC tournament and you'd probably be back in. Uh, but I know this though. Like, here's the thing. Like, the Saturday's great, dude. I'm excited for it. I'm ready to watch it because it is the case. It's not a lose and you're out, but it definitely is a win and you're in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if
Yeah.
you win on Saturday, you could lose your first round game in the SEC tournament. It won't matter. Like, they're in if they win on Saturday.
Right. There's a version of things playing out where you lose on Saturday and maybe even lose the first game in the tournament. There's a version of that depending on what happens in the rest of the country and with the rest of the teams where you still eke your way in.
To like Dayton.
Yeah, but it is sketchy as all get out. Like I mean, because there's a version where a bunch of teams like VCU and stuff like get, you know, other bids and there's just no room for you depending on
Yeah.
what happens. I mean, Texas won last night. There's a version where you lose that and you don't make it. So yeah, it's in our court, literally and figuratively. The ball is in our court and they need to take care of business badly. And it's against a, to some degree, desperate or at least motivated Mississippi State team. Nobody wants to lose in an overtime game to a flagging Texas team at home and then go on the road and lose to one of the other, like, sort of not amazing teams in the SEC. They're not going to want to end their season that way. So they're going to come ready to play, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Mississippi State's going to the tournament regardless of what happens, but um, yeah, they're not gonna want to lose that game. And listen, man, nobody plays bully ball more than Mississippi State, and so which
I'm
is
worried
the
about the fouls. I mean, we used 28 of our 35 fouls
yeah,
in this game. We may have to use 30 of these ones. We may have
yeah.
people foul out. That is the one thing that scares me is, I mean, like I said, you look at that offensive efficiency from or lack thereof of Vanderbilt last night, and it's like we were playing good defense. It's hard to play good defense and not foul against these guys, these kind of athletes.
Yeah.
And honestly, I actually didn't think the refs, that was another thing. I didn't think the refs really helped us a lot either. I mean, I'm not saying it was really one-sided, but there was some momentum killers in there where, what I
Well,
mean?
I know the one that John got teed up for. I was with him. I'm like, what are you supposed to do right there? I think
Yeah.
that was a DJ that got that foul. He was standing down there for like all eternity with his hand straight up. He didn't even jump.
Yeah.
Like,
And there,
I'm not saying it was a charge. Like, he wasn't trying to draw a charge. He was just contested. I'm like, well, dude, what are you supposed to like? I thought
someone
that
needed
was
to show those refs, like, because dude, I'm a big fan of no calls.
yeah,
I mean, I'm on the defensive side most of the time, and I'm like, if have your body straight up and you are entitled to every position on the court, and if I mean, people don't even realize it. You can even be moving your feet. You don't have to be set. If you are in legal guarded position with your hips square and you're not slapping down, and someone initiates contact with you, that's not a foul on the defender, and they call it way too much. I like uh no calls on some of that stuff because sometimes you're like, yeah, well, I mean, the guy didn't lower his shoulder, there was contact, but both players, basically, like, just their bodies collided and one guy was making a legal offensive move and the other guy was in legal defensive position. I like no calls on just some body contact. Now, obviously, if someone gets hacked and the arm comes down, you have to call it, but I don't know why there's not just, I mean, there's some times where there's just contact and it's nobody was violating the rules of the game. You
yeah,
know what I mean? It's like, I wish that they would impress upon the refs to allow more no calls in those close to charge, block
yeah,
situations.
yeah. I thought the DJ that foul that Cal got teed up on. I mean, I'm not arguing that there should have been some call that went our way there at all. To me, like I'm like that's an insane call. You just keep your whistle in your pocket, dude. Like there's nothing there.
Well, every pickup game that I've ever been in, like a confrontation with a person, it's always an offensive minded player who thinks that because they have the ball in their hand, that if there's contact while they were trying to shoot, that it's just a foul automatically. I'm like, you jumped into me.
Yeah,
And like, I'm a square. Now, I mean, obviously when they get you leaning and you're moving your feet sideways and they're almost around you and you give them a hip check, like that's different. But if I'm in front of you square, I'm allowed to have this position. And just because you jump into me and have the ball in your hands does not make me violating the rules of basketball.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I didn't think the refs helped us a lot. I mean, it could have been worse. Obviously, nobody fouled out on our side, but um, anyway, I guess that's all there is to say.
You're also terrified of injuries, right? Like every time a guy goes down awkwardly, I'm just like there was I think Nelly was acting like for a moment there, like he had one like fall, and then he was kind of like gimping and like twisting his ankle around, and I'm like,
Yeah, dude, that
I mean, because dude, you're one of those away from it just like being over, dude.
yeah, I mean, there's no more room. There's just no more room for anything. I mean, I don't want like you just can't win with six guys.
No.
It's crazy. So
Yep. All right. Well, sweet. Well, we will you
yeah,
know,
there's a part of me that was is like, man, if we win on Saturday, I want to lose in the first game of the SEC tournament. Not really, but like I don't want these guys putting a run together and doing. I mean, in the perfect
no,
scenario where
get
they
some no,
win,
dude, get some rest and and if you have it if
the way our team is made up, I will not be at all. This is the way I should put it. Obviously, if they were to win the SEC, that would be crazy. That would be amazing, no matter how much effort was put into it. But it will not disappoint me at all to lose in the first game of the SEC if we win on Saturday and just go everybody rest up and get ready for that first game in the tournament because I just don't I know how these guys are going to do a I mean like I said the SEC tournament is worse than the regular I mean but like sometimes they literally play in like 18 hours.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So uh yeah, I've just never seen a team that has this tight of a rotation. I mean,
you'll know that Cal agrees with you when he rolls out when he starts all the walk-ons.
right? Just rest everybody.
He just rolls. He just because people act like we say we have seven players. We don't. We have more guys than that. They're just like not guys that play. They're not like they're on scholarship. I think most of them. They don't get any NIL money. They're not like they signed up to be practice guys and knew it. It would be hilarious though if he knew he was in the first game. He's like, let's go. Just roll them out there. So I'm not. Hey, I'm still gonna coach them. I'm gonna try to win this game, but like I ain't playing these other guys. They gotta rest.
Well, because how insane would it be to after this whole roller coaster of a season to get into the tournament and then have one of your have Wagner or Nelly or anyone really you know severely hurt their knee or ankle or something
Yeah,
in the SEC tournament and then basically just not have anything for the
yeah,
you know that would suck. Because I
it
mean,
would.
like I said, I don't think this team that they don't feel like a long run tournament team, but like you said, I mean, dude, the tournament is just a wild thing, and any you could put together a string. And this season, if you were to be able to get to the second weekend, which I don't think is likely, but if you could win, I mean, just win two games. This team could put together back to back good games. If you put together two good games, the whole season's redeemed.
Yeah,
You know
yep,
what I mean? Like I mean, it's not only is it redeemed, it's like one of the better kind of like up and down. Wow, that was not fun at times, but one that you'll talk about. Will
yeah.
be like, do you remember that season where
When we had seven guys.
when we well and we set the record, the all time record for like most consecutive losses in both Calipari's career and I mean in conference and in Arkansas SEC history, like and then you went on to get in the Sweet 16 or whatever. It's like that would be an amazing story,
Yeah,
and it's better than winning two games in the SEC tournament.
yeah,
You know
yep.
what I mean? So
I agree. All right, man. We'll leave it there. We'll be back this weekend after Arkansas plays Mississippi State, and hopefully we're saying, "Hey, man, it's gonna be good to watch, see where we end up, see what seed we get, see who we're playing. That'll be exciting." So I'll see you then, man.
All right. See you guys.